Burası Pladani plajı. Bir alayın daha sonra da bir koskoca kolordunun çıkmasına mümkün olmayan, imkan vermeyen küçücük bir plaj.
Ne zaman denizden çıkarma başladıysa orada bak koptu kıyamet. Hani Yunan Silahlı Kuvvetleri var gücünden yüklenmeye kalktı fakat beceremediler.
Harekat devam ediyor. Direniş noktaları var. Onları susturuyor. İnanılmaz bir bitki örtüsü var. Narenciye ağaçları. O kadar çok yerden ateş geliyor ki dallar düşüyor. Dallardan nereden ateş geldiğini göremiyoruz.
Şimdiki Yakın Doğu Üniversitesi'nde oraya gittik ve takımı topladım. Emir geldi ki Kıbrıs Türk Kuvvetleri Alayı'na takviye gideceksin.
Biz birbirimize sarıldık, öpüştük, havalara sekmeye başladık. Yaşımız da işte 20, 19-20 yaşında hepimiz. Çocuklar gibi sevindik.
During more than 3 centuries of Ottoman rule, people of different religions and ethnicities coexisted peacefully on the island of Cyprus. In 1878, Britain took over. But as the empire crumbled, it left the island in disarray and gave birth to one of the longest-lasting conflicts in modern history. Türkiye's military operation in 1974 followed decades of conflict between the island's two communities, Greeks and Turks. Greek Cypriots were demanding Cyprus unite with Greece. Their goal was called enosis. But Turkish Cypriots rejected Greek rule. They wanted to govern themselves.
The British have been suppressing the enosis movement since the 1930s. In 1931, there was a big uprising, and ever since, the British had to engage in more heavy-handed tactics to suppress the enosis movement. In the 1940s, the Turkish Cypriots were also encouraged and engaged in their own institution buildings in order to counter enosis. So the Turkish Cypriots established their own institutions. This then led to an international confrontation in 1954 when the Greek government sponsored a self-determination proposal in the United Nations General Assembly. At that time, the Turkish government in Ankara, Prime Minister Menderes's government, wasn't too keen to get involved in the Cyprus affair. But the Turkish Cypriots were keen to get Turkey involved. In fact, it's really ironic. My own grandfather, Faiz Kaymak, led a delegation and met with Menderes and the Turkish officials, later went to London, and ultimately went to New York, all with the goal of preventing the 1954 self-determination motion by Greece. And in fact, this succeeded. In 1954, the United Nations agreed that the issue had to be put off indefinitely.
The following year saw the conflict intensify on the island with the armed Greek Cypriot organization EOKA, led by former Greek Colonel George Krivas, carrying out increasingly violent attacks on Turkish Cypriots. Turkish Cypriots formed their own resistance.
Rauf Denktaş is the founder of the vision of the legal basis and the political basis of the Turkish Cypriot people, the struggle of the Turkish Cypriot people. In the 1950s, he had started the struggle as a political objective to make sure that the Turkish Cypriots had the equal stature as the Greek Cypriots on the island, and started the struggle for, if the Greek Cypriots want union with Greece, then we will want a union with Turkey. He was the founder of the Turkish Cypriot defense struggle, the Mujahid struggle against the Greek Cypriots. So together with, of course, Dr. Fazıl Küçük, who was his mentor earlier on, both the political struggle initiated by Turkish Cypriots as well as the resistance struggle that the Turkish Cypriots formed, Rauf Denktaş played a significant role.
Can you explain to people in England why it is impossible for Greeks and Turks to live peacefully together in Cyprus? Well, the explanation will take me very long. Come and look at Cyprus and you will see the explanation. Barbed wire separates us. We don't go to each other's coffee shops. We don't go to the entertainment places that others go. The trouble started in 1953, 54, went on in 55, and the terrorism, Makarios, and the Greek leaders, their insult against the Turks, their determination not to recognize any right to the Turks, has led to this present position. And to believe that we can go back on it is to be unrealistic in Cyprus.
After years of violence and several failed attempts at peace, Turkish and Greek Cypriots finally signed the 1959 London and Zurich agreements, paving the way for an independent Republic of Cyprus based on a power-sharing constitution. The Greek Cypriot leader Archbishop Makarios became the president of the new Republic of Cyprus, and Turkish Cypriot leader Dr. Fazıl Küçük its vice president.
It was not real independence, it was qualified independence, because the whole 1960 arrangement was predicated on the British military bases, which the Americans wanted them to have, which were de facto NATO bases, de facto, and the whole arrangement didn't work. And in fact, quite soon afterwards, the British Foreign Office admitted that it was an unworkable constitution themselves. More than half the Treaty of Establishment was devoted to the bases and all the rights of the British over flights in Cyprus. So Cyprus, in fact, began with its hands tied with an unworkable constitution. And it never got better. It just became worse after that.
The agreements, the London-Zurich agreements, were solutions that were imposed upon Greece and Turkey. It could work theoretically. It was a viable solution, but because we still wanted enosis, we saw that as a step that would first of all create an independent Cyprus, and the next step of the independent Cyprus would have this independent Cyprus would join Greece. That's how we were viewing the situation at that time. Of course, Makarios made the mistake with the 13 points, which he wanted by that to change the constitution that had been agreed upon, and in this way he violated, in a way, the agreements that had been signed at that time. And of course that created the big issues because, for example, the question of having separate municipalities was never implemented, and various problems, of course, were created at the time, and the situation became worse as both sides, both communities started arming themselves.
The intercommunal violence peaked in December 1963, triggering a period now known as Bloody Christmas.
Nöbet tutardık. Çıkıp arada bir devriye yapılırdı böyle. Bir arabayla ya bisikletlerle böyle kontrol altında tutardık. 21 Aralık'ta işte tam bu esnada Tahtakale olayı patladı. Bir Türk aileyi, daha doğrusu iki arkadaştı bunlar, bir bayanla bir erkek. Eğlenceden gelirken gece Rum polisleri durdurdu. Türk mahallesi, yani Tahtakale mahallesi, Rum bölgesinin içinde böyle bir de cami vardı orada. Onun etrafında bir Türk mahallesi. Ona girişte yoklamak istediler. Anayasaya göre Türkleri Türkler yoklardı, Türk polisler, Rumları Rum polisler. Siz bizi yoklarsınız, yoklamazsınız derken mahalleli çıktı. Biraz çıktı, polisler telsizden yardım istediler. Birkaç polis daha geldi. Bu da yorgacısın sivil adamları da geldi. Birkaç tanesi çekti bizim o 2 tane Türk'ü. Orada şehit etti.
The flashpoint of the violence was an area called Küçük Kaymaklı. Greek militants led by Nikos Samson enter the neighborhood with a Turkish flag as a disguise. They opened fire on civilians, including women and children. Homes went up in flames, forcing many to flee. EOKA members also stormed the home of Turkish Major Nihat İlhan. A photograph of his wife and 3 sons laying dead in their bathtub has since become a symbol of the brutality inflicted by Greek Cypriot extremists. The toll was so heavy that Nicosia had to be divided permanently.
That's when the Turks began to retreat. And I have to say, they were badly treated by the Greeks at the time. The Greek extremists went too far because they were in a majority. And it's a great shame that diplomacy didn't win the game. But I'm afraid by that time, the Americans were very against Makarios. And so they papered over the cracks. And the United Nations came in, which angered Turkey. And ever since then, we've had this bizarre situation where every 6 months they renew the UN mandate, and it goes on and on and on.
But it didn't end there. Turkish towns outside of Lefkoşa had turned into front lines. Erenköy was one of them.
15 Şubat'ta Rumlar geldi bize köyün batısında Dikili'de Aşdere dediğimiz bir yer vardı. Geldiler orada köyü ateş altına aldılar. İlk çarpışmamız gece vakti. Yani gelişi güzel atarlardı köyün içine yani. Yani bütün gece attılar. Biz ilk defa olduğu için karşılık veremedik. Yani bir otomatik tüfeğimiz vardı, 2 de sistem. Mücahitler şaşırdı, ateş bile edemedik. İkinci gece gene geldiler. Bu defa ben bir mevzi yaptırdım, otomatik tüfeği koydum, ateş ettikleri yeri. Geldiler gene başladılar köye ateş açmaya. Mütemadiyen. Otomatik tüfekle ateş açtık biz de genlere devamlı.
In February of 1964, another Turkish town, Limassol, was attacked by Greek forces. The atrocities committed there were covered by mainstream newspapers for the whole world to see.
After the attacks happened in Cyprus, we had the big demonstrations in Istanbul, gigantic demonstrations. I remember I went to see what was going on, what was going there with some friends of mine. My father got very angry that I exposed myself, but they were very, I mean, I haven't seen such demonstrations before in Turkey.
The Greek attacks infuriated Ankara, and it decided for the first time to intervene in Cyprus militarily. Turkiye's involvement ended the violence, but at a great loss. Turkish pilot Cengiz Topel. He was leading a 4-fighter flight when his aircraft was shot from a Greek patrol boat.
Cengiz Topel paraşüt açıldı, sallana sallana indi asfaltın şimdiki büstünün olduğu yerin hemen asfalt kısmından X-Oraya tarafa, Gemikonan'a doğru bir 20-30 metre kadar bir tam böyle bir dere gibi bir yer var orada ve toprak yığınının köşesi düştüğü yer. Ben oradan koşa koşa karargahıma geldim. Bir 50 metre var. Hemen telefonu aldım. Komutanım pilotumuz indi falan noktada. Gayet güzel bir yaklaşma istikameti var. Benden, hem benim mevzimden, Cengizköy'de de benim mevzilerim var, nöbetçilerim var. En fazla, hadi bilelim 1 kilometre bir mesafe var. Gidip alacağım. Genç komutan, sakin ol, heyecanlanma. Kartallarımız havada uçarken bize iş düşmez dedi komutanım. Sakinledim tabii. Hakikaten de kartallarımız uçar havada. Aşağı yukarı bir yarım saat olmadı yani. Bir araba geldi. Pilotumuz indi, yolda yön tespit etmeye çalıştı herhalde. Bir araba geldi. Bir badire oldu olmadı gibi biz bazı hareketler derken aldılar, gittiler. Rumlar geldi, aldı.
Cengiz Topal escaped from his burning aircraft, but he was captured by Greek Cypriot National Guard. It took 4 days for his body to be returned to Turkish authorities. He was brutally tortured to death. The violence in 1963 and 64 killed 364 Turkish and 174 Greek Cypriots. 109 Turkish and mixed villages were also evacuated.
Türk bölgeleri tamamen Rum ablukasındaydı. Yani dört bir tarafı Rumlarla çevrilmiş. Düşünün ki biz bir adada yaşarız ve ben 63-74 arası denize gidemedim. Çünkü etrafımız dört bir taraftan Rumlar ile çevrilmiş idi. Diyelim ki Lefkoşa'dan Magosa'ya veyahut İskele'ye gitmek zorundasın. Ailen var orada da, onları görmek isten. Binersin arabana veyahut otobüse. Yolda giderken kaybolursun. Veyahut barikatlarda dayak yersin. Sorguya çekilirsin. Bu şekilde geçen yıllar başladı. Baskı altında, zulüm altında, ölüm tehdidi altında.
Turkish Cypriots were isolated in enclaves, and the worst was yet to come. On April 21st, 1967, the government in Athens was ousted in a coup d'etat which destabilized Cyprus. The Greek junta was in need of public approval, and achieving enosis seemed an easy way to get it. On November 15th, the Greek Cypriot National Guard, led by Grivas, overran the two remaining Turkish enclaves in the south of the island, Boğaziçi and Geçitkale. 27 people were killed. The junta's next target was the Greek Cypriot president, Archbishop Makarios.
Makarios pursued the line that if they tried to unite the island, Turkey would intervene, and he tried to use indirect ways of getting rid of the Turkish Cypriots, like, for example, giving Turkish Cypriots tickets to go overseas, young Turkish Cypriots, go to Australia. There's a better life there. They go to the UK. There's a better life there, and encourage Turkish Cypriots to leave the island and impose restrictions on Turkish Cypriots, so that with the suffering they would give up their fight against the Greek Cypriots. It didn't happen. So when the Greek junta in Athens said that this is enough, this policy is not enough, Makarios is not achieving enosis on the island, we are going to do a military operation against Makarios and unite the island with Greece.
On July 15th, 1974, the Greek junta ousted Makarios. Nikos Samson, known as the Butcher of Küçükkaymaklı, was installed as the new president of Cyprus. In his first public address, Samson declared that the island's union with Greece had begun.
So from 15 July to 20 July, there was great anticipation of what was about to happen. I was alive at the time, that tells you my age, and I remember my grandfather listening very intently to the radio for any news whatsoever. We had our Mujahid, the Turkish Cypriots, who were in the streets, but many Turkish Cypriots were also enclaved. So there was great fear in the Turkish Cypriot community, and of course there was fighting and killings in the Greek Cypriot community. So eventually, Turkish Cypriots' only hope was a Turkish intervention.
The 1960 Treaty of Guarantee granted Türkiye, Greece, and the UK the right to intervene in Cyprus in concert, or if necessary, unilaterally, to prevent activities promoting the union of the island with any other state.
The Turks knew that they could go ahead and do that, particularly because Britain refused to help at the crucial meeting on July the 17th in London. Crucial. Britain just literally chickened out and did not stick to its treaty obligations, which gave the Turks absolutely, at that time, justification.
In 1974, there was a slight disagreement between Prime Minister Ecevit and his coalition partner Erbakan. Erbakan was more interested in a holistic solution of regaining all of the territory of Cyprus under the control of Turkey. But as probably the Americans intervened and explained to Prime Minister Ecevit what the limits were.
Turkiye's Cyprus operation was a surprise to many. Until then, Ankara had preferred diplomacy.
Bekledim da gelmedin, sevdiğin mi bilmedim.
Hem radyodan, Kıbrıs radyosundan, Kıbrıs Rum radyosundan hem hoparlörlerle bekledim de gelmedin. Aman Allah'ım kahrımdan öleceğim. Bekledim de gelmedin. Bizimkiler de hemen şeyi koyardı. Neydi? Yaşar Özel vardı böyle gür sesli. Bir gece ansızın gelebilirim. Böyle Rum'un kafasına. Biz de o şekilde cevap veriyorduk.
Bu kadar yürekten çağırma beni. Bir gece ansızın gelebilir.
And on the morning of July 20th, Turkish radio played that song for a reason.
Bir gece ansızın gelebilir. Beni bekliyorsan, uyumamışsan, sevinçten kapında ölebilirim.
Prime Minister Bülent Ecevit announced the operation.
İnsanlığa ve barışa büyük bir hizmette bulunmuş olacağımıza inanıyoruz. Öyle umarım ki kuvvetlerimize ateş açılmaz ve kanlı bir çatışmaya yol açılmaz. Biz aslında savaş için değil, barış için ve yalnız Türklere değil, Rumlara da barış getirmek için adaya gidiyoruz.
And when the troops came in on a Saturday morning, on the 20th of July, 1974, that was a turning point for the Turkish Cypriots. Had the troops not come in, Turkish Cypriots would have been finished, completely wiped out.
İlk uçağın gelmesiyle beraber Lefkoşa'dan bizim bulunduğumuz yerden bir gürültü çıktı. Bir alkış, bir sevinme, bir şey. Yollarda oynayanlar inanamaz. Herkes yani düğünde oynar gibi oynamaya başladı yollarda. Tabii bize de müthiş bir ateş açıldı ondan sonra Rumlar tarafından. Ama bayağı düğün bayram oldu. Hele birkaç gün sonra bir de tank soktular Lefkoşa'ları görsün halk yer. Bir bayram da onda oldu.
Turkish forces were advancing quickly. They gained control of the strategic road from Girne to Lefkoşa in 2 days. The nationalist Greek juntas in both Athens and Cyprus collapsed.
And I couldn't imagine the stupidity of the military. I mean, these were military. And afterwards it came out that he had Ioannidis, who was the head of the junta that had overthrown Papadopoulos. He had the okay of the local CIA man of the American embassy. I mean, how can you rely on the local CIA man of the embassy to make a coup d'etat? Then I thought maybe because they're military, they have a way to protect the island and all that. Nothing. So after that, the dictatorship collapsed. I remember Ecevit saying that, we created the conditions for democracy to return in Greece, which was ironic, but it was true from his point of view.
On July 22nd, 1974, Türkiye halted the operation upon the call of the UN Security Council. A new diplomatic initiative was launched in Geneva. Türkiye and the Turkish Cypriot leadership proposed a limited federal state with autonomous Greek and Turkish Cypriot administrations. It was the first time the term federal solution was used for Cyprus.
Since 1974, we've been putting forth the idea that not only should it be a power-sharing government, but in addition, it should be bizonal, And since 1974, the Turkish Cypriot side had been pushing for a bizonal, bicommunal framework. Now we've said that this has been exhausted. Our current president and the president of Türkiye also say this. But the federal idea was a Turkish idea, not a Greek idea.
Cenevre toplantıları başladı. Cenevre toplantılarını takip ediyoruz. Arkadaşlarla iddiaya girdik. Mesela arkadaşlar diyor ki bitti, bu ikinci barış hareketi olmayacak. Ben de diyorum ki mümkün değil, ikinci barış hareketi olacak. Hatta bahse girdik. Çünkü dedim ya Limassol esir. Baf esir. Biz Mausa Hısarları içerisine kapandık. Rumları Mausa'nın surları içine sokmuyoruz. Tamam ama bölgeler kurtarılmamış vaziyette. Bu böyle olamaz. Mümkün değil, ikinci barış harekatı olacak dedik ve Cenevre'deki toplantıları takip etmeye başladık. Yani bahsi kazandım. Olamaz dedim. Yani Türkiye hükümeti böyle bir harekatı ve böyle bir harekatın sonucu olarak ortada bu tablo görünürken ikinci harekatı yapmadan duramaz. Mutlaka ikinci barış harekatı olacaktır dedim ve çok şükür o günü de gördük.
Turkish forces in Cyprus were confined to a small area around northern Girne. Turkish enclaves were isolated from each other. The talks were going nowhere. On the 14th of August, Turkish Foreign Minister Turan Güneş called Prime Minister Bülent Ecevit from Geneva, and he said, Ayşe can go on vacation. This was the code phrase previously agreed upon that green-lighted this second phase of the operation.
İkinci barış harekatı başlar başlamaz Türk ordusunun önünde bozguna uğradılar ve kaçmaya başladılar. Tabii Türk ordusuna ve mücahite karşı koyacak cesaretleri yoktu ama çocuklara ve kadınlara cesaretleri vardı. Kaçış yolları üzerinde bulunan Murat Ağatlılar ve Sandallardaki köylerimize geldiler ve yataklarından, evlerinden topladıkları çoğu çocuk pijamalıydı. Katliam çukurundan çıkarılış anlarında. Ve katliam çukuru başlarına getirdiler ve katlettiler.
Three Turkish villages in the Famagusta district of Cyprus were attacked by EOKA. 126 Turkish Cypriots were brutally killed and buried in mass graves.
...15 tane öğrencim vardı. 1974 dönemini birlikte geçirdik. Haziran'a kadar birlikte olduk. Son dedim artık ayrılma zamanıdır. Bir fotoğraf çekelim ve bu resim çektik burada. Yani çok zor bir şey. Çocuklar resmini çektim. Hatıra ne olur ne olmaz diye. Sanki içime doğmuştu. Ne olur ne olmaz diye sizin resmini çözelim de bir hatıra kalır. Resmini çektik. Haziran, bir ay sonra Temmuz, 14 Ağustos'da 15 çocuğun 12'si şehit oldu.
On the 16th of August, Turkish forces took full control of the northern side of the island. The line from Lefke to Mausa, including Lefkoşa, was now the new border separating Turks and Greeks.
Onların gelişini gördüğümüzde biz çok duygulandık ve ağladık. Onlara sarıldık, onlar bize sarıldı. Çok ağladık. Anlatılmaz yani. O günler ancak yaşayanlar anlayabilir. Esaretten kurtulmak çok güzel bir şey.
After Turkey's intervention in 1974, Cyprus entered a new era. The north was under Turkish Cypriot control, while Greek Cypriots ruled the south.
After 1963, the two sides, the Greek Cypriots having usurped the Republic of Cyprus, develop their own administration. So the community turned into an administration of their own, 100% Greek Cypriot administration. And the Turkish Cypriots, although they were confined to nearly 3.5% of the island in small areas that were protected by the Turkish fighters, we formed our own administration and we formed our own defense forces. Therefore, from 1963 onwards, we were no more communities, we were administrations, 2 administrations on the island.
On November 15th, 1983, Turkish Cypriots declared their independence, becoming the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, or TRNC.
Kuzey Kıbrıs Türk Cumhuriyeti'nin bağımsız bir devlet olarak kurulduğunu dünya ve tarih önünde ilan ediyoruz.
I remember when I was at the primary school, in 1983, we were brought in front of the parliament, which is located in Nicosia. We had no idea what was going to happen. And it was the date of the Declaration of Independence of TRNC, which was an incredible psychological and emotional atmosphere, basically. I'm glad that I was part of it, even as a child, because I believe that Turkish Cypriots do have the same right with the Greek Cypriots of having a state and ruling themselves and having their voice to be heard. This is an equal right of the Turkish Cypriots, equal to the Greek Cypriots.
Neither the Greek side nor the international community recognized the new Turkish Cypriot state. And in the 1990s, following the fall of the Soviet Union, unifying Cyprus was back on the global agenda. European Union enlargement policy encouraged a united Cyprus, which would become a member of the bloc. The new process was initiated by then UN Secretary General Kofi Annan. UN envoy Alvaro de Soto acted as a mediator between the two leaders.
To me, it was an important challenge because the United Nations had been conducting efforts for almost 40 years and without making significant progress beyond a few principles as to the general outline of a solution that were agreed in 1977 and confirmed in 1979. But an opportunity seemed to arise. It had to do with the project for enlargement, for a major enlargement of the European Union. And Cyprus, a little bit reluctantly, was invited to start negotiations by the European Union, even though Cyprus remained divided. And there was also an improvement in the general climate between Greece and Turkey, which helped, under which certain understandings had been reached, and Greece was favorable to the idea of Turkey itself joining the European Union.
Well, my father's dearest wish was to see Cyprus reunited, and he spent he was first elected in 1993, and he left office in 2003, and his the main thrust of his 10 years of presidency was to try and get a solution of the Cyprus problem. And he believed that if Greece and Cyprus pushed for encouraged Turkey's access to the European Union, that this would be a very significant factor in helping to get a solution of the Cyprus problem.
The newly elected government in Turkey supported the Annan plan.
Biz şüphesiz ki Kıbrıs sorununun olduğunu biliyoruz
Ve bunu çözmekte biz kararlıyız. Ve bu konuda da Birleşmiş Milletler'in planını müzakere edilebilir bulduğumuzu daha baştan ifade ettik. Ve bunu müzakere edelim diyoruz. Müzakere edelim derken de biz özveri gösterelim ama karşı taraf da özveri göstersin. Eğer tek taraflı bir özveri istenirse bu adil olmaz.
Görüyorduk ki Türkiye'de çok istediği için bu anlaşmayı süreç ilerliyordu. Çünkü Türkiye'nin de rolü büyüktü. Türkiye buradaydı, büyükelçisiyle, ekibiyle, o ekiple birlikte çalıştık biz de. Ama neydi hedefimiz? Annan planını ne kadar bizi koruyan, efendime söyleyeyim bize zarar vermesini engelleyen bir hale getirebilirsek, ne kadar lehimize bir hale getirebilirsek onun için çalışıyorduk.
The Annan Plan proposed the establishment of a federal state with two constituent parts, presided over a rotating presidency. The plan also included a limited right to return and freedom of movement for all Cypriots. Turkish and Greek troop presence on the island would be drawn down gradually.
One thing they all agreed was that if there was going to be a settlement, it had to be all there written down. It was no good saying, here are the broad lines of the settlement, and we'll carry on negotiating after that on the detail. That had been tried before, it had always failed. So the Annan Plan basically was a serious attempt to get a full settlement, a constitutional settlement, settlement on security, a settlement on the economic aspects, settlement on territory, and so on.
The European Union wanted the agreement to be completed before Cyprus signed the accession treaty in April the same year.
I was very, very hopeful in 2004. My father, who had just left the presidency in 2003, both he and myself and many other people, we campaigned actively in the Greek Cypriot community for a vote of yes, a yes vote for the Annan Plan, and we saw that in the Turkish Cypriot community there was a big movement to say yes. Thousands of people were out on the streets demonstrating.
But the lack of a firm clause linking Cyprus's EU membership to a settlement was a major obstacle. And a change in Greek Cypriot leadership in 2003 further complicated efforts.
We had elections in February 2003. My father stood for re-election, even though he had actually said that he wouldn't stand again because of his age, but he said, okay, I will stand again. I just want 18 months to solve the Cyprus problem, and then I will stand down. And unfortunately, the political parties, particularly AGEL, would not accept this proposal.
New President Tassos Papadopoulos was elected after a fierce campaign. He argued that he would be able to secure a better deal for Greek Cypriots.
Papadopoulos görüşmek istemiyordu, herhangi bir çözüm istemiyordu. Onun istediği zaten elde edilmişti. O yüzden işi akamete sürüklemeye çalışıyordu. Seçimler sırasında Papadopoulos Annan planını doğal olarak şeytanlaştırdı. Bu şeytanlaştırmaya diğer partiler de katıldı.
In April 2003, in a show of goodwill, the Turkish Cypriot government eased border restrictions. For the first time in 30 years, Turkish and Greek Cypriots crossed the island's dividing green line.
Bu Kıbrıslı Türklerle Rumların ilişkilerini başka bir safhaya taşıdı. O güne kadar Kıbrıslı Rumlar zannediyordu ki her Kıbrıslı Türk'ün arkasında bir Türk askeri var ve Rumlarla koşup kucaklaşmasını engelliyor Türk askerleri. Bunun böyle olmadığını gördüler. Kıbrıslı Türklerin de bir ekonomik hayatı olduğunu, siyasi duruşu olduğunu, zannedildiği gibi Türkiye ile bir çatışma halinde olmadığını, vesaire gördüler, anladılar. Bu önemli bir şeydi tabii. O güne kadar bilinmeyen bir şeydi.
And many Greek Cypriots went to the north as well, because they had not seen it. I mean, an entire generation had gone by without their seeing it. And in many places that they visit, they went to their houses, some of the Greek Cypriots, and they were welcomed there. This is very much in the hospitality tradition of Turkish Cypriots, who are always very gracious and kind.
On April the 24th, 2004, Turkish and Greek Cypriots held separate referendums on the island's unification. Turkish Cypriots voted in favor of the Annan plan, but Greek Cypriots overwhelmingly rejected it.
It was obvious on our side that we were going to accept. Just before the referendum, I went to my father and said, it's obvious that the Greek side will reject this plan. But to guarantee that, I believe if you come openly to the public and say that you accept this plan, it will be definite that the Greek Cypriots will reject it. He said, my son, that is not the point I am trying to make. The world has not understood the problem of Cyprus clearly, because when they come to us, we say we want solution. When they go to the Greek Cypriots, they say they want solution. If in a referendum both sides rejects, then they will understand that unless they treat the both sides equally, they will never find a solution. This is what I am aiming, he said, and he was very, very right. Now we can understand that much more clearly.
So I know that my father was very disappointed at the results of the 2004 referendum. In fact, at the speech he gave to the party congress just before the referendum, he said the following words, that okay, the Annan plan is not a perfect plan, but we have the Annan plan on the one side, and on the other side, if we don't vote for the plan, we have a deep hole, which we don't know how deep it is and where we will end up.
I can still remember the anger of fellow foreign ministers within the European Union and myself at the meeting of the General Affairs Council, the Foreign Ministers' Council. It was held on the 26th of April 2004. The fact that I remember the date tells you that it's fixed in my brain. The people around the table, my foreign ministers, were so angry about the behaviour of the Greek Cypriots and how this was basically, excuse my language, shafting the Turkish Cypriots who'd done everything that they could to comply with the Annan plan. In retrospect, we should have said to our heads of government, we believe that we should defer Greek Cypriots membership until we have this sorted out. Because the only reason that, in my opinion, the Greek Cypriots were ever motivated to be involved in negotiations about a unified island was because of the prospect of EU membership. Well, in the end, the Greek Cypriots got that without having to put anything on the table themselves.
A week after the referendum, Cyprus became a full member of the European Union. The EU had now imported the unresolved Cyprus issue onto itself, vastly enlarging the comfort zone of the Greek Cypriots and making an eventual settlement between the two sides even more difficult. Turkish Cypriots, meanwhile, continued to suffer under sanctions and isolation from the international community. After a failure of the Annan plan in 2004, the UN was reluctant to make further efforts to solve the Cyprus problem. In 2010, then UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon initiated tripartite meetings between the two parties, but to no avail.
Şimdi dönüşümlü başkanlığı kabul eder gibi oldular ama samimi değiller. Türk askerinin burada varlığını hazmedemezler. Etmeyecekler belli. Toprak konusunda tapulu mallara bakalım. Ama bu kadar sayıda bu topraklarda oturan insanlar vardır. Yani şimdi ben o toprakta oturan insanı atacağım, Rum gelecek, oturacak oraya ve benim toprağımda vatandaş olacak ve oy kullanma hakkına sahip olacak. Bunları kabul etmek mümkün değildi. Zaten Rumlar da kabul etmeyeceğimiz öneriler sundu hep.
A final push came in July of 2017 when all sides met at Crans-Montana in the Swiss Alps. The summit was widely considered the island's best chance at reunification since the Annan plan. Instead, it became the last big failure.
Crans-Montana process started and continued without touching the root causes of the problem. Therefore, I was expecting that type of a failure. But there was a diplomatic move, mainly led by Turkey, it seems, that a kind of message was given that this is going to be the final attempt, and if it fails, I'm not going to negotiate federation anymore type of a message was given. And it seems that this was bought by the Greek Cypriot leadership at that time.
So Crans-Montana is a turning point. From that point on, I mean, we said enough is enough as far as the Turkish Cypriot side is concerned, and Turkey is concerned, about the federal settlement model. It's out. We have no consent anymore. I mean, the international community agrees that any settlement in Cyprus needs to be based on the free will of the people. It has to be freely negotiated and accepted by both sides. Turkish Cypriots now say that federal solution is out. That's our government, that's our president saying it. Turkey is supporting that position. So it has to be based on sovereign equality.
Turkish side, Ankara and us, we said there is no sense in doing the same things over and over again and expecting a different result. So, unless the sovereign equality of the two states and equal international status, political status, is accepted, there will not be any more negotiations. And that's where we are since 2017.
The failure of the Crans-Montana conference led to a policy shift towards a two-state solution on the Turkish side.
Obviously, this new policy is a fundamental change in from the old policy. The old policy, maybe that lasted for 50 years, federalism, it's a partnership. But in a two-state solution, you don't have a partnership anymore. You have a Turkish state in the north, Greek Cypriot state in the south, and you cooperate in a neighborly relationship for the good of all Cypriots, Turkish Cypriots and Greek Cypriots. And because the state in the north is sovereign, the state in the north can cooperate with motherland Turkey, guarantor power Turkey, as it likes. We can have troops, we can have economic support, we can have other engagements together with Turkey for the development of North Cyprus as we like.
In October of 2020, the Turkish Cypriot government decided to reopen parts of Maraş in a move to further strengthen its claim of sovereignty in the north. Maraş was abandoned after a 1984 UN Security Council resolution saying that only its original inhabitants could resettle the town. Since its reopening, hundreds of thousands of people from across the world have visited the city. In November 2022, Northern Cyprus became a non-member observer state of the Organization of Turkic States for the first time using its official name, the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus.
Recognition of the TRNC will come about, inevitably will come about, because it's a state that has stood for justice. It's a state that has stood for human rights. It's a state that has fought discrimination. So there is no reason why we should give up on our struggle.
Türkiye has been advocating for the recognition of the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus in the international arena.
Uluslararası toplumu bunu kabullenerek Kuzey Kıbrıs Türk Cumhuriyeti'nin bağımsızlığını tanımaya, bu ülkeyle diplomatik, siyasi ve ekonomik bağlar kurmaya davet ediyoruz. Adadaki Birleşmiş Milletler barış gücünden de sergilemekle mükellef olduğu tarafsızlığa titizlikle riayet etmesini bekliyoruz. Zaten itibarı zedelenen bu gücün Kıbrıs'ta yeni bir itibar kaybıyla karşı karşıya kalmasını istemeyiz.
I support it. I've been talking about this for quite some time now. And it's outrageous to leave Turkish Cypriots and the TRNC in this international limbo. And it has practical effects on how ordinary Turkish Cypriots can live.
As the idea of a two-state solution has gained more popularity, Turkish and Greek Cypriots have moved farther away from reunification. But can this be the beginning of a new chapter for the island's future?
Where we are right now is quite uncertain, potentially because of the Ukraine war, because of the reality that Ankara is the geostrategic partner, indispensable partner in the Black Sea and in general, then maybe the Greek Cypriot side will come under pressure again. But no one has made any money betting in favor of a settlement in Cyprus.
Turkey now understands that it is not, terror and the threats are not only from within, but they can come from outside as well. And that awareness, the fact that the problems in the Aegean, hydrocarbon discoveries in the Eastern Mediterranean have, I think, raised the awareness of the significance of the island of Cyprus for Turkey's security and Turkey's Eastern Mediterranean policy. I don't see that changing at all. And I think I see that that's across all parties in Turkey.
In any case, Turkish Cypriots, to be able to maintain their identity and to continue as a society here on this island, they should rule themselves. There can be a kind of a partnership with the Greek Cypriot side. There can be a kind of a cooperation agreement relationship with the Greek Cypriot side, or depending on the circumstances, a different kind of a partnership can be reached, whatever the name is going to be. But in all cases, Turkish Cypriots should be able to rule themselves and not to be subject to the will and the decision of the other.
We are much better off, they are much better off. They formed a new life in the last 50 years in the south of the island. We have formed a new life in the north of the island. It should be understood by all these that we live through that this island is big enough for both of us to live side by side. But on the other hand, it is such a small island that we should interact with each other. It forces us